Get ready to jump into mecha cyberspace, my friends, because the next generation of Gunpla battle is about to begin in Gundam Build Divers. This is it, we're finally here, the third season of Gundam Build Fighters, and it's going full-on virtual reality. The wait for the next season of Gundam Build Fighters has been excruciating. While we've had a lot of other really great Gundam projects down the line, I have been anticipating this third season. And it still continues to surprise me. Gundam Build Fighters is a series that on paper should absolutely be terrible. It's essentially a giant commercial for toys and Gundam models. It's all just straight fan service for people who've been watching this stuff for years. And yet, it still manages to have a fun, enduring story that people can get attached to, as well as also celebrating their love of the greatest mecha anime franchise of all time. And this season is really going to try and shake things up. In fact, I really love that. I love how every single season of Gundam Build Fighters manages to evolve. The first series is about using Gundam models and having one-on-one battles. The second season is about going through teams and having said battles. And this season right here is going to be about virtual reality, going into a world where you not only get to control these Gunpla, you actually get to pilot them, like you're a character in a Gundam anime series. But wait, there's more! You even get to customize your very own character. If you don't want to go into this place looking like you normally do, you can wear a ridiculous costume. You don't even have to be human. Yes, you can be all sorts of weird creatures in this series. Basically, it's up to you to create your very own personalized Gundam legend. It's really awesome. I love the concept behind it. But first, let's talk about this first episode right here, which is essentially an introduction to the world itself, how it works, and the main characters themselves, which I really don't have much of an opinion on quite yet, as the main character, just like most of the other main characters in the Gundam franchise, tends to be kind of a blank slate of a character. They're the type of character that you portray yourself onto. It's kind of like playing a character in an RPG video game. That's not to say that every main Gundam pilot is that, but that's basically what I think they're going for here with the main character of Riku, who is just a plain, boring old anime hero. Maybe he's going to evolve as it goes on, but for now, he just seems kind of but we'll have to see a little bit more. The good thing is he's not annoying, and his love for Gundam is already infectious, just like a lot of the other characters in the series. And his actual Gunpla is a variant on the Gundam 00 from the second season of Gundam 00, which I think is really awesome. But his friend Yukio already seems immediately more interesting. At first, he's just sort of like the standard sidekick. Just the goofy, nerdy kid with glasses who loves Gundam. But you get to see that later on in the episode, when he actually goes into battle, he's surprisingly competent, and I absolutely love his Gunpla, the GM3 Beam Master, which is basically a variant on the GM or the GEMs, and he's covered head to toe with all sorts of weapons and beam weaponry and swords and missiles, and it's just awesome. I love the look of it. And he manages to basically outshine the character in many ways in this episode by taking out multiple opponents. Basically, these two guys are going to be the Mario and Luigi of the series, the Goku and Vegeta, the Wario and Waluigi. They're going to be teammates, and I think they're going to play really well off of each other, if only for the fact that they're just best friends, they love Gundam, and they're experiencing this world for the very first time. And I think that's an important way to start this series, as it allows us to sort of slip into the shoes of these characters and see what it's like in this brand new, open-wide, never-ending Gundam world. It's really great. Now, like I said, first half of the episode is sort of just a straight introduction to these characters when they're seeing this big Gunpla battle just before their eyes. It's sort of what inspires them to finally start doing this. And it's a really epic scene, and just like the other beginnings of Gundam Build Fighters, it's basically an excuse to see all sorts of mobile suits and variants of them just destroy each other. And just like before, it is awesome. I love it. I totally love it. But right after that, we finally get to the meat of the story when they decide that they're going to go to this Gundam store. They're going to get their very first Gunpla. They're going to build them, and then they're going to go into the GBN, the Gundam battle Nexus online. Basically, they sit down in a chair, they put on these visors, and they are immediately transported to this world, which is a cyberspace world filled with all of these people who are just decked out in all of this awesome Gundam stuff. You're going to see homages everywhere to the actual uniforms that the characters are wearing, to the actual mobile suits themselves. And when they get in there for the very first time, they are met by this man by the name of Maggie, who is a super effeminate and super bubbly happy guy who just so happens to love Gundam, and it looks like he got lost on his audition to the next season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He looks just like a JoJo character, that's all I'm going to say, but he's a really fun character because he's there to sort of act as like the tutorial guide for both Riku and Yuki. So he decides to show them how they register, how they can go down to an actual hangar and see their Gundam. That's one of the coolest things about this show, is before there was the illusion that the characters were actually, like, in the cockpit, but they really weren't. They were just hanging out while watching their toys fight each other. Here, you can actually see your Gundam as if it actually was that size. You can get into the cockpit, fly around in this thing, because you're in virtual reality. And this has made the visuals of the show already a lot more interesting for the fact that they can now treat it like a regular Gundam, but also have a lot of fun and go crazy like they do in the typical previous seasons of Gundam Build Fighters. I love this aspect of the series so much. So Maggie decides to show them around how they can start having a free battle and fight against some AI, and this is basically, like I said, an excuse to finally see these mobile suits in action. The 00 Diver and the GM3 Beam Master fighting against what I'm guessing I think are Leos from Gundam Wing. They have like a Cyclops eye though, so they are slightly changed up. And Yukio manages to take out 2 of them. Riku manages to take out 1 of them. It's just awesome getting to see these guys in action and just how much fun they're having. You can totally feel it. When suddenly, we get the plot. It finally decides to just drop on our lap when they get an SOS message from this young girl who is asking for help. And they fly over to her, and man, how many times does the main story of a Gundam start with just finding a girl asking for help? I'm guessing this is going to be our princess character of the series. We don't really get to know anything about her in this episode, aside from she's just this young, cute little girl who looks suspiciously like Ayla Yurkiainen from the very first season, which of course leads me to believe that this could very well be her daughter. The thing is, though, we've already been technically introduced to her daughter in the OVA, Island Wars, so I wonder if there's a connection here, or even how far in the future this series takes in comparison to the other one, because they don't really, like, mention the previous seasons at all, like how much time has passed, and why this brand new form of Gunpla has sort of maybe replaced the old one. Maybe the old one still exists somehow. Maybe we'll get to see those characters as adults actually battling in this cyberspace world. It's really hard to say. All I know is this girl's clearly going to be important and probably going to be the love interest of Riku, when suddenly they get another SOS message, and it's from this other character who is basically not a human. He looks like something like an ogre of some kind, like he's got a big old belly and a big old horn coming out of his head, and he's basically there to hunt the rookies. He's trying to trick people, and basically he's a spider bringing people into his web, and he gets Riku to leave his current mission, and that's when he decides to battle against him in his very own mobile suit, which is a freaking Zetus from Gundam Age. I'm so glad that we're finally going to get to see some Gundam Age representation in this show. We didn't really see any of it from Gundam Build Fighters. Maybe some hints to it, but now it looks like it's going to take center stage. And I, for one, am happy, because a lot of people dog on Gundam Age, but I like it a lot. I think it's a pretty solid addition to the franchise, and I love the mecha designs, in particular the Vegan mobile suits, and getting to see a Zetus again is just awesome. I love the sharp design of this thing. But of course, Riku does manage to defeat him. This guy has a plan where he's actually just baiting him so he can take out Yuki and then Riku. But then Riku just jumps over right where a defeated GM Beam 3 Master is there, and he picks up a freaking beam saber from its knee. These beam sabers can come from anywhere, and then he just comes in and slices and dices and finishes the guy off with one hit. Classic Gundam style. It was awesome, and a great introduction to these characters right here. So the future is looking bright for Gundam Build Divers. So what's the rundown on this episode right here? I'm hyped for this show. Really hyped. As a huge fan of Gundam Build Fighters is just really the cherry on top of the sundae. Like, it's almost like a recognition of how much of a good fan you are by watching this show, when you can recognize all the different mobile suits and the callbacks and the homages. It's all there, and it's really cool. And The one thing I love most about Gundam Build Divers is how it really feels different. Gundam Build Fighters Try was not very big with the fan base. It was still a very profitable show. A lot of people watched it, and it was still very popular. I'm sure it made Bandai a lot of money, but it still lacked something that the first season had, which was a lot of heart and really good characters. Gundam Build Fighters Try had way too many characters. This one right here, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to balance that, especially because we still don't really have our full main cast quite yet. If the intro is any indication, we got a lot of people who are going to be introduced in this show. And let's talk about that intro, too. Very different than the previous Gundam Build Fighters. The previous music from the series, I felt, was a little more easy to listen to. This is... It's almost impossible to talk about, to be honest. I have to hear it a couple more times, but it goes for a more rock sound as opposed to like a techno-y kind of sound that we saw in the previous openings, and I absolutely love the first two intros to the very first season of Gundam Build Fighters. Like, if I had a top 10 favorite openings, both of those might actually make it in there. I love them that much for the music and for the imagery. But this one I'm going to have to look at a lot more, especially because there's just so many things to see, all the new characters and everything. It looks like that one girl who was introduced earlier in the episode who's playing soccer with Riku and Yuki. It looks like she's probably going to be one of their teammates. The one girl, I mean, is a given. She's going to be one of the main characters. There's a ninja girl who's going to be in the show, which looks really awesome. And all types of crazy adversaries for them to go up against. And if it's anything like the previous seasons too, this is basically more of just a preview of the first part of the series. There's going to be so much more down the pipeline, and I love the designs of all of the different new mobile suits in the intro. A lot of them are from Double O. I think I saw one that was like a version of the Severi, which I thought looked really awesome. I think there was a variant of the Unicorn, which had some sort of massive hammer-type weapon. It just looked awesome. I'm really loving the designs in this series. But still, I need to spend more time with these characters to become accustomed to them, their quirks, and to see where they're ultimately going to be heading. I can't fully judge it quite yet. What I will say is, just like the previous seasons, this episode was a lot of fun. It was just fun to watch, and if you're a hardcore Gundam fan, you absolutely have to check this one out. So that's my thoughts on the episode. I loved it. I'm a little biased, but I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5. I just loved every single thing about it. I want to hear from you guys, though. I want to get your thoughts on this brand new season of Gundam Build Fighters, Gundam Build Divers. Tell me what you think about it, what you think of the brand new characters, the mobile suit designs, the big change in the rules of the show, and what you hope this is going to do in terms of connecting to the previous seasons, or maybe even doing something new. Basically, let's just start a discussion in the comments section talking about this show and our favorite mobile suits and our hopes for Gundam Build Divers. There it is. That's my thoughts on the episode. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.